everyone. Thanks for logging on. This new episode of COXtales is with my friend, legendary makeup artist and author Marietta Carter-Narcisse. Now, she's created some of the most iconic looks for films starring Angela Bassett, including What's Love Got to Do with It, Malcom X, and more. We'll be speaking to her about her incredible career, her books, her new ventures, and her online classes. Take a look at my convo with Marietta Carter-Narcisse.
My journey was very interesting. I was a pre-med student in school and I lived in New York. I came from Barbados and, of course, every island person settles in New York. I don't know why. And I went to school, I went to college in New York and stuff. But I've always had this knack for working in beauty and the arts and very, very, very creative. I come from a long line of seamstresses and sewing was my first love. So yeah, sewing was my first love. So from sewing, I started modeling and doing clothes for fashion shows. And of course you learn makeup, the interest is makeup. And then from there I went to charm school. And then so I went to charm school, fashion charm school. And so I learned a lot more makeup. You learn how to work with the microphone. You learn how to model. You learn all those things, how to set a table, how to entertain, all those wonderful little sedity things.
Yeah.
And from that, it really, my interest in makeup really sparked. And, after I got out of college and worked as an underwriter in New York Life Insurance Company, I enrolled in cosmetology school to learn how to do hair.
Oh, okay.
And
so you do both.
So I'm actually a licensed hairdresser, yes. And I keep my licensing up. I was licensed in New York, California, and Florida.
Wow.
So I keep them up. I don't keep up the New York, but I keep the California and Florida.
Right.
And it kind of was like from sewing and doing bridal dresses, my whole thing was to learn how to do the makeup and the hair for the brides and, make it a whole business. But something happened. I ended up leaving New York and moving out and traveling all through Europe. And then I got the entertainment bug. And from Europe, I moved to California. I've cut out a lot of the story, but for time's sake, but from Europe, I moved to California and I started freelancing. And I was doing some sewing with my brothers, and through him, I met the Commodores because he was working for the Commodores.
Oh, okay.
So I met the Commodores, and they kind of parlayed me into, the entertainment industry that you just see it, but you never think that that's something that you would be doing.
Right.
Because it just didn't seem tangible at the time. So I met Natalie Cole through Commodores and my brother. I met Natalie Cole. And that, I was like, when I met her, I was like, if you need somebody to do hair, makeup, wardrobe, I'm available. And at the time, I could sew anything. I mean, it was nothing.
Really?
Yeah, it was nothing for me. And I could also bead. So Natalie said, as a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to put my show together and I'm going to need somebody on the road. And she took my number. A couple of days later, her manager called and her manager said, Natalie wants you to meet her at rehearsals. And I went down to her rehearsal and she introduced me to her band. And after the rehearsal, we went to the studio not the studio, we went to her storage unit at SIR on Sunset and picked out about 25 gowns. And I rebeaded all those gowns for her.
You rebeaded?
Yeah.
Oh,
I hand beaded all those gowns for her. She was in shock because she didn't, people say they could do stuff.
Right.
But when it comes down to actually doing it, and I took all those gowns apart, took them apart, seam by seam. And
oh my gosh, the detail.
Yep, the detail. I inserted pieces in the sides and stuff because she put on a little bit of weight. And so, and inserted, then rebeaded all those pieces that I rebeaded all those.
Oh my gosh.
25 gowns. She was in shock. She said,
I would be in shock.
And
then beading is a whole other,
It's a whole nother art form.
Yeah. And skill, That's amazing.
But
I was
yeah,
going to
no,
ask you about if you had any hidden talents. You're,
I was
that's a major one.
I was beating bridal dresses like at 17, 18 years old.
Mm.
I was making bridal dresses because when my
So,
friend,
so when you were doing that for Natalie, did you end up being, I mean, is that what got you into makeup as well, or
well,
how did
yeah,
that?
I did, once I did her dresses, she was like really blown away. She said, you got to go with me. You got to be on the road with me. A couple of days later, first class to Hawaii with her to
Wow.
do. So I was doing her hair, her
Mm-hmm.
makeup, and her clothes.
Wow.
And initially, it was just Natalie and her band and myself. I was the only female on the road with her. And then
Hmm.
she started to bring back in her female background singers. So then I started dressing everybody, dressing Natalie and the band. And it was like,
Wow.
whoa, this is a lot of
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So
How was
so
it for you? I mean, we're kind of going to be all over the place just because when I think about you on the road. So this was when you didn't have any children.
oh, this was when I was 25 years old.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was just me. So it didn't matter. I could take
Yeah.
off and just go.
Just go. Yeah, you just do
Just
it.
go.
Just whatever
Yeah.
the gig calls for, you go and handle it.
Yeah, you're young, you're free spirited,
Hmm.
and it was great because I was seeing places I'd never even dreamt of going to. And it was great. It was Natalie and I had a great relationship. It was wonderful to be on the road with her,
Hmm.
and but then it became so much because I was doing so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I was doing things and I didn't even realize the scope of what I was doing. Now I look back because I wasn't into football or anything like that. And when we got in the limo and we go and she's singing the national anthem, but you know what? I didn't know what it was, at the
Hmm.
time. And when I look back, I said, "Oh my God, that's what we were doing." She was doing the national anthem for a big old football game.
Right. The
Oh,
Super Bowl.
okay. I
Hello.
was like, "Oh, okay, that's what that was." It didn't even dawn on me what we were doing. I'm telling you. I mean, it may sound
Wow.
really naive and silly, but it
No, I
didn't
understand
register.
that because we're that hamster on the wheel. We just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
get
didn't
it.
register. The
Yeah.
Golden Nugget. We were
Yeah.
at the Golden Nugget when it first opened.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
I lived at Caesar's Palace for a month. I lived at Golden Nugget for a month. I could tell you the whole underbelly of Caesar's Palace.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but because people loved Natalie Cole, because they
Yes.
love Nat, so they love Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. I'm telling you, Deborah, it was over my head
Mm-hmm.
what I was into. You
Mm-hmm.
know, these are the comedians that opened up for Natalie when I was with her.
Wow.
Rip Taylor,
Mm.
Jay Leno, David
Wow.
Hasselhoff, Louis Anderson, all these different people that all of a sudden after a while I started to see. But these are the people that were opening up for her back then.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of crazy. And she opened up. No man, did she open it for David Copperfield? Or he opened it for her. I can't even remember. But
Mm.
that was a big part with they working with David Copperfield. So it was like things that were so beyond my scope.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't
And
real.
you're right in the middle of just legendary moves,
Yep.
you know.
That was very, very interesting. So
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
her and just it became so much an overwhelming for me, that I decided, you know what, I'm spreading, jack of all trades, master of none kind of
Mm.
situation. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided, let me focus on just makeup. But I
Mm.
wanted specifically, I was watching a movie and I saw the credits roll and I thought, that's it. I want to see my name roll in the credits. So I
Wow.
literally enrolled in makeup school to learn how to do makeup for film because I didn't know anything about film.
Now, when you went to the school, right, did you
Uh-huh.
learn about black makeup?
Uh-huh.
Because that's what I'm saying. You are a pioneer, you are a legendary makeup artist who can do all different skin tones. But it's interesting to me. I want to hear this story because I want to know who taught you, you know what I mean? the legend that you are,
it was
that's giving
interesting.
tips and writing books now.
I don't even remember if I had any Black students in my class.
Right.
I don't remember if I had any Black students in my class. I don't recall that actually.
And then
Uh,
what were the products that you used back then?
Back then they had three-gallon bottles, literally 3-gallon bottles, a light, medium, and a dark,
Oh, wow.
and you
So
pumped it
no
out.
range at all. Just
Literally, and you pumped it out, and
and you had to
made it
mix it?
work. You had to
Right.
mix it. You made it work. But what I did do was, after I got out of makeup school, was I enrolled in the American Academy of Aesthetics with this brilliant. The founder of the academy was Robert Deema, brilliant man. And because a lot of things that I personally believed in, I didn't mesh well with some of the things I was learning in school.
Mm-hmm.
And through Robert Deema, it kind of confirmed a lot of things that when I saw about skin tones. And he really helped me fine tune working on skin tones, and just not even thinking about black, white, or anything, just
Right.
skin tones. And
Right.
I learned how to custom blend foundations through him.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Because
really
it's all about the blend.
It's
It's
all
all
about the
about the
blend.
blend. Yeah. Yeah.
And I learned how to perfect that tweak, whatever I see in the skin, how to add it into the skin and not take it out of the skin.
Mm.
And that's one of the things that I truly believe in. So like if I'm
Yeah.
doing somebody with pink tone, because my philosophy, there's no black or white. Snow is
Right.
white and tar is black. We're just
Mm-hmm.
an assorted variety of skin tones, from ivories and beiges and beautiful browns and caramels and deep chocolate and stuff. But there is no black or white.
Right. Right.
And that's my approach to makeup.
So when you do your online classes and your coaching careers, what goes into that? What do you tell your students, or what is the philosophy that you want them to follow when they're, sort of embarking on their own career?
I try to get them to take the fear out of doing makeup. Take the fear out of, oh, this is a black person sitting in my chair and I've never done a black person before. Or this is a white person sitting in my chair and I've never done a white person before. Take that out
Mm-hmm.
and start to look at skin and only see skin. It's like doing hair. Hair doesn't have a race, it has a texture.
Right.
So
Right.
literally don't focus on those things. Focus on what you see. Focus on what's going on in the skin. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I get the fear out of them. And when they realize we only have hemoglobin, keratin, melanin in the skin in different proportions, then it becomes something totally different. They're no longer seeing this black or white face sitting in front of them.
Right.
So that's my aim when I teach. That's the biggest thing for me, is to
Mm-hmm.
focus on just the skin tones
And
and
so the
nothing.
motivation for your books. The Little Brown Book. Talk a little bit about that. The terminology and the planner. What inspired you to do these books?
I've been teaching for over 30 years. I know I only look 25,
Yes.
but I've been teaching for over 30 years. And I find that I used to hand out pieces of paper. I had handouts.
Mm.
And those handouts became thicker and thicker and thicker. And then I decided that it's best let me put this into book form. Because again, I'm in the film and television industry, the entertainment industry as a whole, right?
Yeah.
It's the beauty in the entertainment industry. I kind of merged the two together. But you cannot grow in the industry if you don't speak the language of the industry.
It's true. We're in a different phase now, and I mean, how do you feel about Instagram and all of these platforms that people use now to do their makeup tutorials? You're seeing a lot of makeup artists come off of YouTube. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, some of them are just good for their YouTube tutorials. How do you feel about them, making the transition into the makeup world?
I have mixed feelings. I got to tell you, if this kind of outlet was around when the peak of my career, I can't even imagine what would have happened to my, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I applaud them for their efforts and what they're doing, being self-taught, being self-taught is one thing, but understanding the medium that you're working in is so critical.
Yeah.
And I think, so some of the issues I do have is that you're in the mirror doing makeup on yourself, and it doesn't necessarily translate to me doing makeup on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if this is, so depending on where you're going with it is,
Right.
to me, the important thing. So if you're trying to teach people how to do makeup on themselves, it might
And
be
that's different.
okay as
Yeah.
long as you stipulate that my face is round and your face is angular.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a
So
different. It's
it's
going to
not
be a
going to
different approach.
translate the
Yeah.
same way,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you put those things out there too, so that people understand they have to adapt and adjust.
Yeah. And that's
And
the thing now with this new normal, this new phase that we're working in.
mhm.
Everything is virtual, everything is online. You have your online classes. When is your next set of classes starting, and how are you making the transition now from taking your classes, from an actual studio setting to now virtual?
My online classes I've designed because, I went back to school. I did my master's in education. And
Yay!
I did in higher education with a focus in online teaching and learning because I
Right.
saw that that's where the industry was going. And I'm a
Mm-hmm.
sucker for education. But
Right.
I did my classes so that you would be in the classroom with me, but I'm not there.
Mm.
So they're self-guided. Once you get into the classroom, you can work your way through the classes without me.
Mm.
Yeah.
How long are the classes generally?
It depends on you because I
Oh,
did
okay.
them so you have access to the classes for 3 months or 6 months, depending on your work schedule.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I put them up there, and then you go into the classroom, and they're self-paced.
Mm.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
self-paced. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Lovely, lovely. Well, let's get into some of your work. Malcolm X.
Uh-huh.
What's a memory that you take away from that film?
Oh my God, 6 months in New York after having moved out of New York and moved to California.
Mm.
6 months, and it's the movie. I'll never forget that movie because it's the movie that I was introduced to my husband on.
I never knew that.
Yep, yep,
Oh,
yep.
wow.
I
That's
he was
awesome.
I was his 37th birthday present.
Well, would you like to share?
Yes, I hired, I had a big team in Malcom X. Some days I had 50 makeup and hair people working with me. And I had
Wow.
3 interns in my department. And one of my interns, Andrea Miller,
Oh,
she
yeah.
said, I have the perfect man for you, and you guys are gonna get married. And she set up a blind date for us. And we spoke for about a month before we actually met in person.
Oh,
And that
wow.
first meeting was his actual birthday. So
Oh, my
here it
gosh.
is, 27 years later,
Oh,
and
that's
one kid.
amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
So,
And so
so
at what point did you want to become a mother, and how was that decision for you? Did you did you plan? Did you want to continue working? Did you want to take a break? What was your motherhood or your journey like when it came to motherhood?
I think I worked the entire time I was pregnant.
Mm,
I never
mm,
stopped. I never stopped.
wow.
I went from doing, oh my goodness, what's the movie? It was the movie Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, wow.
I went from doing Dangerous Minds. I was the department head of that. I didn't do Michelle's makeup. I ran the show though. So I
Okay.
went from doing Dangerous Minds, and I found that I was pregnant halfway through that show.
Wow.
I didn't understand why my girth was constantly expanding. I just thought, oh, I'm eating a little too much. I was in such denial. I had no idea. Or I would get all those actors ready and then fall asleep in the trailer about a good hour.
Right.
Couldn't figure out what
Wow.
was wrong with me. I really was in denial. And finally, I went and I was 9 weeks pregnant. I didn't even know it. I had no clue.
Wow.
And
And this
I
was in
did
LA?
that. This is LA, yeah.
Okay.
This was in LA. And
Wow.
and after I did that, I had like 2 weeks off. And then I interviewed for Strange Days with Angela. and
Oh.
to do Angela. So I just did her in that. So I
And
went
we're
into the
talking
left.
about Angela Bassett, who a
Angela
lot of
Bassett.
people
Yeah,
may
sorry
not.
about that.
Yeah.
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 And I went
So
into
that was
the
the first movie that you two worked on.
no. I met Angela on Boyz in the Hood.
Okay, tell us about that meeting. Wow.
That was the first meeting. I met her on Boyz in the Hood, and we clicked as though we'd known each other all our lives.
Right.
And we just maintained a relationship and stuff. And then when I did was it the Jacksons? We did Boys. No, then I went and did Malcom X. And she
Mm.
was a Malcolm X. And then we
Mm-hmm.
did the Jacksons. And then we
Right.
did Tina. And it was like one after the other after the other. It was just one
Wow.
of those things. But the whole time we developed a relationship,
You were
and it
very
was wonderful.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful
Because
and
a lot of
stuff.
people don't know it was through Angela that I met you.
Right,
When I came to set and started working on the Whitney movie, that
right.
was where we met and we
Yeah.
clicked. And just like you said, it's like family. You know, there's certain synergy and energy
Mhm.
that we just clicked. And you know, and ever since been very close. And it was great to hear that you were here in Florida as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
and
yeah. Oh,
um and just seeing you work on the Whitney movie. We'll talk a little bit about that before What's Love Got to Do with It, because I want to hear about that process with Tina Turner. But when I saw you working on the Whitney movie, it was really fascinating to me to just see how you had to just stay on top of the continuity, stay on top of the characters and what they're feeling and how they look in certain scenes, when she's crying, when she's in love, or you know what I mean? Like staying
yes,
on top of the staying on top of all of those looks has got to be just,
difficult.
yeah, yeah. How do you do that? How do you maintain all of that
It
on those
it's
long days?
a lot of it's in the prep work.
Mm,
And Tina, not Tina, Whitney wasn't as hard prep work as
mm,
Tina was.
right.
So it's in the prep work. Like when I did Tina, the Tina Turner story, I
Hmm.
literally had to do all that prep work and continuity before we even started. I handed the
So
director
how long was
a
that?
continuity book of every single look that Angela, the 52 looks that Angela had, all the nail
52
polish
looks.
colors, all the changes. I did all that breakdown before we actually started.
Wow. Wow. It's
That,
all in the
that's where the
prep.
detailitis comes in.
Yes. Yes. Not a bad thing to have. And I think it's something that I think a lot of young artists should develop, is learning how to pay attention to detail and being organized, and preparation is key,
Preparation
right?
is key, and
Yeah.
that's what really Tina was about. That I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's all the prep work, and that's what I'm known for. I'm known for all my prep work and doing my
Mm.
research and pulling it all together before I start working. Because
Yeah, because it's
once
different
that ball
periods too.
starts to roll,
Mm-hmm.
there's no stopping.
Right. So was Tina, What's Love Got to Do with It, starring Angela Bassett, was that filmed in one location?
We filmed all over LA, and
Hmm.
they went up north to shoot a little bit of it. It's so funny.
Okay.
I must tell you this story. What made that movie so realistic was I spent like about 8 hours talking to Tina to give me all the
Mm.
nuances of how she actually did her makeup.
Because she
But
was doing her own makeup back then.
yeah, she did. So she did. Tina Turner did my face. Tina Turner did.
She did your face?
She got down on her
No.
knees, took her
What?
own makeup out of her bag, and did half of my face in the 1970s and half my face in the 1960s to show me how she did her eyebrows, how she did everything on her face. Tina Turner did my makeup.
And you're the only one that could say that.
Let me tell you, she said, I've always wanted to do a makeup artist's makeup. And she got down on her
Wow.
knees, took everything out, and did my entire face.
That's an awesome story.
It
That's
was
an
it was
awesome
like I was
story.
like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. So if you could you imagine having Instagram
Oh my
and all the
gosh.
social media back
What?
then? Because when you say to people, Tina Turner did your makeup, yeah, okay,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But she even signed it in the book for me. She said, I've always wanted to do a makeup artist's makeup.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you had to prep. So how long was that film? How long?
I don't remember how long we shot.
Because I mean, that's a lot of looks. 52 looks, and then you're going through different periods of
Oh
her
yeah,
look.
yeah.
That's incredible.
That's why
That is
continuity.
a work of art. I mean,
Continuity is utmost. Malcolm X, the same
yeah.
thing. Denzel, I look more like Malcolm than Denzel does. I mean, but I had to do all that work for Denzel before we started shooting.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a lot of work before we started shooting with
Mm-hmm.
him. And Angela didn't have those kind of looks, but he did. He had, and then we went to Egypt and shot.
Oh, wow.
We went to Cairo and shot. Yeah, so we spent 6 months in New York, and then we went to Cairo. So
Wow.
so the detail when you're doing any kind of period piece, the detail is in the research and stuff before you actually start shooting. Because once it's like everything else. Once you get all that prep work out, it makes things fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
Same with what we're doing now with Genius Aretha.
Right.
I've got a great team working with me. And you can't do it by yourself. You have to have a
Yeah,
team.
you need a
It's a team
team.
effort. You need a team and stuff. And as a
Yeah.
team leader, I like to pick people who've got synergy and who can work and who can think on their feet and who literally they can just be 2 steps ahead of me.
Right.
To make it happen. That's critical.
Yeah.
And in Atlanta, I had a great team working with me because we were doing, and that's like episodic has not been my thing. Film has been my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And episodic shoots at a completely different pace than film does.
Oh.
And yeah, completely different pace. And
right.
We were doing 2 and 3 episodes simultaneously. Plus,
wait a second, simultaneously?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yes, and going back and forth and jumping back and forth with beards and sideburns and mustaches. Oh,
that's crazy.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I tell you? Yes, and different periods, different time periods.
Right.
So having critical layout of what we're doing. So everything was meticulously laid out. Mm-hmm. My continuity books were like, so my key makeup artist, that continuity, that's all she did. Continuity.
Yeah, and you got to stay on top of that.
Oh, honey. And
because ain't nothing like looking at one scene and then seeing, just completely different look.
The labeling and the years, the scene number, the years, all the labeling, critical.
That's critical. Yeah.
So and then the details to remember what you did on each person and stuff. So and we had so many people. We had some days, and then the stylized beards and mustaches aside, because people don't think about when you're doing makeup about all the work you have to do in men. But I cut more hair, girl. I mean, clippers, hair. Oh Lord, and mustaches. Wow. We had to have mustaches made because you shave off the mustache because in the same day you got a mustache that's here and then you have no mustache. So we had to shave off and get this made. Girl,
I can't even imagine.
Yes, it was a lot of work.
So talk to me also about working with Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost. That's one of my favorite movies, and Whoopi's one of my favorites.
Yes, I met Whoopi on Clara's Heart. I was the only Black person on that set.
On set
for makeup, and the makeup department, and the crew. A lot of crew didn't have a lot of Black people in the crew.
Right. So you've seen a lot of change over the years.
Yes, a lot of the movies that I started off on initially, I was usually the only Black person in the crew.
Wow.
So we met, but I didn't do. A lot of people say I didn't do Whoopi's makeup. I did Kathleen Quinlan's makeup in here. I didn't touch Whoopi on Ghost. No, not Ghost. I mean on Clara's Heart. I did
Clara's Heart. Okay.
I did Kathleen Quinlan's makeup in here. And from we clicked. Whoopi and I just, when she realized I was the only Black person on crew, it was like, oh wow, okay. And then I went on to do her for a couple of comic reliefs, and then I did her for when she was in Alabama doing the long walk home
Ah,
with
The
Sissy
Long Walk
Spacek.
Home. Great
Yes,
movie. Yeah.
but when she got the call to do that, her assistant called and said, "Whoopi would love for you to come down to Alabama and do that with her." So I went down and I did that show. And then before we finished, she said, "Whoopi's doing Ghost, and she would love for you to come to LA and do Ghost." And I already lived in
Wow.
LA, so it didn't matter. So I did her for Ghost, and
Mm-hmm.
that was amazing. I did her for the Academy Awards when she won. Got
Oh, I
nominated. Yeah,
didn't
I
know
did her for that.
that.
hmm I did her for that.
Wow.
And I did a lot of photo shoots with her and stuff. I did a lot of stuff with Whoopi for those 2.5 years. And then from
Wow.
that, I ended up kind of doing Baghdad Cafe, the TV show she was on. And I started to do, and I did Boyz in the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
After I ended up transitioning from Whoopi to doing Boyz in the Hood and stuff and finishing off Baghdad Cafe with her and then moving on to Boyz in the Hood. But I saw
Okay.
her recently. I saw her recently when she was here in Florida at the Hard
Mm-hmm.
Rock Cafe,
Yes.
performing. Not Hard Rock, yeah, the Hard Rock
Yeah.
in Hollywood. And we went. My niece and my sister-in-law and I went, and she did this amazing show. And then then she said she's gonna do a Q&A, right? So my sister-in-law, my niece, they said to me, "You gotta let her know you're in the audience." I was thinking I'll just go and backstage and tell them to tell Whoopi that I'm here. They said, "No, you gotta let them know you're in the audience." So they forced me. They got the mic because the guy was walking around with the mic, and so they're like, "Oh, we need the mic. We need." So they forced me. They pushed me to stand up actually. And I said, "Whoopi, I don't know if you recognize this voice." She's like, "Why does that voice sound so familiar?" I said, "Whoopi, I'm glad to see you're doing okay, and I'm so happy you came out to see the show, blah, blah, blah." And she said, "Who's that?" I said, "It's Marietta." She said, she stopped in her, she said, "Marietta?" She said, "Oh my God." She said, "Folks, y'all don't know." I mean, literally, she just stopped. And she
Wow.
said, "Girl," they said, "Take the mic." She said, "Girl, take the mic out of her, get her back here." I mean, it was like no time had passed.
And she's just that warm, engaging, and doesn't forget a
Engaging.
face, doesn't forget a person. Like even if
Nope.
you lose touch or whatever, you just pick right up where
Pick
you
right.
left off.
We went back. I went back there. We hung out there for a few hours actually.
I'm sure.
Oh my God. And she was just recuperating from that really bad
The
bout of
flu,
being very
yeah.
sick, very, very sick, almost losing her
I
life.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was really good to see her and
Nice.
stuff. And we text and stuff. And yeah, it's really
Oh,
good to
that's
see her too.
awesome.
Because she's just that kind of person. And when I was on the set, a lot of times feeling really alone, I tell you, being on shows like Her Alibi and being the only Black person on the show. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of those shows, I was literally the only Black person. She
Yeah.
was like a sisterhood to me to make me
Yeah.
feel not so alone because a lot of people don't realize in this industry a lot of the systemic racism that's built into the industry. And on that show in particular, when one of the big people asked, "Well, we're all the Black people on the show," they said, "Well, it's not Clara's heart."
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, it was a very, very interesting
Mm-hmm.
dynamic to be in that environment. I mean, Tom Selleck was my saving grace too, because on Her Alibi, I mean, we clicked and
Hmm.
and and we had a great time, and he was happy to see that I was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea that his personal chef was from Barbados.
Really?
Yes. And we clicked, and
Wow.
he took us out to dinner one night. He took me and the other makeup artist on the set to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And well, he drove. I told myself, we'll only go to dinner if you drive. So he came, he picked us up at the hotel, and he drove. I said, "We're going in the hood because we want to eat. Because when you're out, you can't eat because everybody's looking at you and staring at you." So we went to
Right.
a little Trinidadian restaurant in the middle of the hood in Baltimore.
Wow.
And he said, "This is the first meal I have had in years uninterrupted." And it was
Mm.
great. And the owner didn't know he was from Trinidad. He was Tom Selleck until we were getting ready to leave, and he paid the bill. And he said, "Oh my God, you're sitting in my restaurant?" And he had Tom sign the menu for him.
Oh, that's a great story. You know, a lot of people, this is kind of why I wanted to do Cocktails, is just to give people, a glimpse of the experience and and some of these, the highlights of your career, the impact that you've had in the industry, and we don't often get a chance to really talk about it or acknowledge it or celebrate it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this with you, and just, thank you and celebrate you even more. Um, I want you to come back. I want you to come back, and I want us to talk more about this incredible career that you had. But let's talk about Joseph before you go.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Okay.
talk about Joseph, because this is a whole different role for you. You're a producer on this film.
Yes, it's a completely different role.
Yeah.
Joseph is something that I worked on with wonderful Marcia Weeks, and Marcia is a director who's done, out of the Caribbean, we're so limited with the film scenarios. It's not like here in the United States or Canada. We're limited. We're still in our birthing stage of filmmaking because we don't have the resources available to us. So I've worked with Marcia Weeks, who is the director of Joseph. I worked with her on a couple of other projects, about 4 other projects. No, 3 other projects. Yeah. And Joe, but she said she was doing this. She said, but I want you just strictly as a producer, no makeup, no, so that was like a completely different thing.
Right. Right.
So
where was it shot?
We shot Jamaica, Barbados, and Ghana.
Wow.
And
that's right. And I was headed to Ghana when you you had just left. We passed each other in the sky.
We passed each other in the skies, literally. And that was amazing because you don't get Caribbean films that take on that kind of an adventure, So we were able to shoot, and I tell you, by the grace of God and by Nanny of the Maroons, we were able to get this done because we went to Jamaica. Because when we talked about it and discussed it, I said, Marcy, it's going to be easier to do Jamaica first and then go to Ghana because of the jet lag and the time differences and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we shot in Jamaica first, and we went as far as shooting up in Maroon Town in a compound. Yeah, up in the mountains, because we really wanted to bring you a story that was more authentic to our upbringing in the Caribbean, and to really showcase the Caribbean. So even in creating the coloring and the set decorating and stuff, and the backdrop and the production design, we wanted to keep the Caribbean very tropical, and then Africa very Afrocentric. Mm-hmm. So you can see the differences in the two. And then we also wanted to showcase our dialect. So we've got the Barbadian dialect in there. Yes. But you know who Allison Hines is, right? The soca queen of the world.
Yes.
So we have Allison in there, and we have Chantel, who wrote Rihanna's song Man Down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Allison's song Roll It Gal. Chantel wrote those. So we had that. And then we had the Jamaican dialect in there. And then we had the African dialect in there. So it gave a broad spectrum of all of us being different, but being one.
Yes. And you don't often see that.
No.
In films. And I don't think I've ever seen a film that showcased I've never seen a film where they've showed, different dialects.
Yeah. And we wanted to showcase too, because, when you see Africa, you see that commercial of the starving child with flies buzzing around and stuff. Yeah. And you see the Caribbean and everybody's poor, and you know what I mean? Yeah. You don't see the richness and the beauty of our culture. It's true. So we wanted to showcase the doctors and everybody in the family, the mother, the father, and the 2 kids. They're all doctors.
Wow.
They live in the big
excited. I'm excited about it. And when is it going to be released? Well,
it be, COVID.
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. We released in Africa. We released in the States, and we were having a good run with AMC, and then COVID shut everything down. So now we're streaming. We're streaming, and you can put up the link where we're streaming on Solidify, Solidify, Solidify.com. We're streaming on there, and it's like $2.99, and it's an absolutely wonderful, wonderful movie. We've got a great young actor starring in it from Jamaica, Kavoy Burton, and Kavoy loved Ghana so much he packed up and moved to Ghana.
No way! He moved?
He moved from Jamaica to Ghana.
Wow.
That's the kind of impact it had on his life.
That's awesome.
It's I'm telling you,
Wow.
he moved to Ghana.
He moved to Ghana from
Yes,
Jamaica
from
as
Jamaica.
a result of that experience. I mean,
Yes,
that's
yes. Changed his
wow.
life completely. It
Wow.
was eye-opening for us because going to Ghana and seeing what it was like and being there, I mean, I want to go back.
Yeah, when we were there just for a few days, but it was impactful. It really was life changing. It really changes your whole perspective
Yes.
on, on a lot of things. Just being a Black person living in
Mm-hmm.
America, and when you think about our ancestors and what we
Right.
were torn away from,
Mm-hmm.
and the
And you went
real
to Cape
rich
Coast
history.
Castles, right? You went to Cape Coast,
Yes, that
and
was
that
just
I think that did it for me.
that did it for me too. That visit was so
Yeah.
profoundly changing for me.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
did it. I mean, so funny that we were sharing those experiences at the same time, pretty much. And
Yes, yes.
you know, and
Wow.
to be taken away from everything, that
Yes.
all the beauty and stuff, and then you have to relearn everything, you
Yes,
know,
yes. Relearn
because
everything. Yeah,
it's not taught in school. None of it's taught in schools.
right. And that's the thing that I'm finding too now with homeschooling is I'm trying to make the effort to at least expose the kids to, some other type of history,
Right, right.
telling and storytelling,
Yeah.
um, because we just have not been exposed to all the richness and all of our stories of our ancestors and all of the, you know, um, there's a lot of history there, a lot of Black history there
Mhm.
from our learning more about our heroes,
Right,
and I think it's important.
exactly, because you, like yourself, you have kids that are first generation,
Hmm.
you know, because your kids are
Yes,
born here in Canada.
they're born here. Yeah,
Yeah, so they're
yeah.
first generation
First
American,
generation. Yeah,
of Canadian and
and Jamaican
Guyanese,
descent. Yeah,
Jamaican, right?
yeah, yeah.
like
So
like
there's
like
so much we want to pour into them,
yeah, yeah.
and hopefully moving forward, we'll be able to do that, and we'll really, because we really, this has been a time of reflection, you know, of just like really taking everything in and going, you know what, we don't have a whole lot of time on this planet, and we have
Right.
to treat ourselves, well, keep our mental health together, keep our remember that our bodies are our temples so that we can
Mhm.
enjoy this life.
And make sure that our kids know that what they come from, so that they know what to to pass on to their own children.
Yes.
That because
So
we can't
important.
allow stuff to just die.
Right. Yeah, otherwise it's forgotten, completely forgotten. Yeah. Well, Marietta, this has been so enriching. This has been so amazing to sit and chat with you and give all of our listeners and fans and supporters a chance to get to know who you are. You guys, check this out. It's the Little Brown Book and Blush. I'll have all of Marietta's information also, so that you can log in on her page, go check out some online classes, and ask her any questions if you have any as well. And Marietta, we will speak very, very soon.
All
And
right.
thanks
Thank
again
you
so much
so
for
much.
everything that you do, and for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to
Sure.
Coxtales.
Yes. Give my love to the family too.
I will.
All right. Mwah. Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Awesome.